You're the expert. I just work here.
Looks pretty solid.
I just work here.
Listen, I just work here.
I didn't pick you. I just work here.
Guys, welcome to I Just Work Here, the podcast where we talk about everyone's favorite thing to do, work. I'm Jesse James, your host. This is Drew Hollway, my co-host.
Hello.
And today's guest we have is Harry Corcell. Harry, what do you do for a living?
I sell software.
You sell software?
I sell software, yeah.
You sell software.
Enterprise companies mostly, but yeah, I sell software. I've been doing it for 20 years.
For 20 years?
Yeah.
Is that the first job you ever had?
First job I ever had, ever.
That was such a terribly phrased question.
Yeah, it really was. But I'll tell you, I used to deliver papers for the Middlesex News. Me and my brother Phil, we had a paper route. It was the greatest thing ever. Like, we would get paid cash. We would have to, deliver the papers. Every Christmas, we made out like bandits.
Every Christmas? How'd you make out like bandits?
Because they would tip.
They were stealing.
Oh.
Stealing the papers.
We're stealing.
Read 'em.
And nobody could turn them in because all of the articles about it were in the newspaper.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had
It
the
was
hustle.
the perfect crime.
We had the hustle. We had the hustle, man. Yeah, man.
It's just, have you seen these two on the front page and they're just hucking them back in the dumpster? How long did you deliver papers for?
Couple years.
Years.
Yeah. We used to do it every day, rain, sleet, shine, anything. We used to ride our bikes, and then on Sundays our dad would drive us around.
How old were you when you did that?
5th, 6th grade.
5th, 6th grade?
Maybe 7th.
How long
So
did you hang on to
early
that
20s?
job?
2.5 years, 3 years, I think.
What'd you do after that?
I just bounced around like retail gigs, working I did McDonald's for 6 months.
For 6 months?
Yeah, it was horrible.
You have the patience of a saint if you made it at McDonald's for 6 months.
Yeah.
I made it in fast food for 3 weeks. What did you do at McDonald's?
I think I made the biscuits. It was just like, you're the biscuit guy. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I'm your biscuit guy.
You just wearing a shirt that says "Born to Biscuit."
Born to
every day.
biscuit, yeah. Like, they didn't let me
definitely.
touch the cash register or anything. You're like, you can do biscuits. I'm like, all right.
This guy's got biscuits written all over him.
What's the biscuit process look like? Like,
They give
walk
you-
me
they-
through
they give you a sheet and you just like this.
You just cut you hand cut the biscuits?
I think we're talking 40 years ago, man. Like, I don't even remember.
Do you think there's been a lot of changes in biscuit technology
I hope
in the
so.
last
I
40
hope-
I think
years?
certain. I think you'd be
They've gotten
hard pressed
fluffier.
to find a hand cut biscuit at a McDonald's.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Do you remember why you left that job?
I think I hated it. Like, it was just like my time to go. Like, it was like I think it was like,
Those
like,
are my grandma's last words, actually. I think I hated it. It's time to go.
yeah, it was just time to go. Like, they wanted me to clean out the grease trap or something. I was just like, all right, I got to go.
That's a really good reason. They were
Yeah.
just giving you busy work at a bullshit job one day, and you're like,
No, they were giving him
that's
biscuit
it.
work.
Yeah.
Biscuit work.
The best high school job I ever had.
Did you say I'm bisquitting?
I'm just filled up. I was just filled up with rage.
What was the best high school job you ever had?
I worked at a Sunoco station in downtown Natick.
Back in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
What'd you love about that job so much?
Oh my God, I was there for till like junior year till senior year of college, and I ran the place. I was like the U of the Sunoco station. And at first it was the Village Sunoco when I first got there. So we called ourselves the Village Idiots. And it was like we would play wiffle ball between in the sessions and all that sort of stuff. We would drink beer. I mean, it was just crazy time. And then it got bought out, and like we went corporate.
Well, what about your boss before you went corporate? He's just letting all these college kids get
damn
hammered
it.
and play wiffle ball.
We were in high school. We were in high school.
Oh, in high school?
Yeah.
I'm just picturing.
He used to play with us.
I'm picturing 13 people in the line right now. And like, where's everybody who works here?
Oh,
I need to
God.
speak to a manager. Like, he's in the back playing wiffle ball.
We used to run out of gas. It was so poorly managed. Like, we used to run out of gas.
Because the owner's just huffing in his office the whole day.
God, it was so.
He sounds awesome. He sounds like an awesome person to work for, and maybe not an awesome role model.
Right. That's it. Like he was just the best.
He was just looking for a reason to hang out with high school kids.
Yeah, he was the greatest, right? And then my boss Don took over, and we were just like, oh man, this guy's a hard ass.
He was the corporate guy they brought in to fucking.
No, he bought it. He bought it.
Oh, he bought it.
He had another gas station in Newton, and he wound up being a really good boss. Like he was just a hard ass, and we were just like, oh my god, like we got to do
Isn't
that.
that kind of a wild thing about leadership? Is that if you're, it's annoying to work for somebody who's a hard ass, but if they're very capable and they're not intentionally a hard ass to you, it makes it a lot easier to work for them.
Yeah, he wound up being like one of the best bosses I ever had.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, just one of the best bosses. Just really savvy. Like he used to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Open up the gas station. He was like reading Wall Street Journal. Like he was just he was on point.
He just cared about what he did that much.
He was just on, and then he'd work a full day at the other gas station in another town, come back, and then do stuff on the.
Do you know how he got into owning gas stations? Did you ever ask him?
His dad used to own a gas station in Newton. He was just fucking my boss was crazy. Like he's an insane guy. Like
he's a second generation gas company man.
Dude, he made a ton of money.
I imagine. Well, that's interesting because I don't know what it was like back then, but I know when I hauled fuel, a lot of the money is in the retail items you sell in the store. The margins on gas are not as high as you would think that they are.
Right.
But it's the money you make on cigarettes and lottery tickets and the stuff that you sell in the store.
Yeah.
Where people really
they had
clean
to
up.
pass a law because Buc-ee's was making a killing because they were selling their gas at a loss, just because everyone would come for like go to nice
the brisket.
bathrooms.
Yeah.
And like all the merchandise. And
I like that that's where the government steps in. They're like, actually, they're selling their gas so competitively that they're losing money on it.
Yeah.
The government's like, fucking no.
The government had to step
Absolutely
in because
not.
a business was losing money. Even though it was on purpose, they had to come in and bail them out.
They had to come in. Yeah,
Jesus.
absolutely.
Yeah. And that was such a good business decision that the owner of Buc-ee's is now on the board at ERCOT.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No shit.
Yeah.
Like the Disneyland?
Yeah, he's the big ball. Finally, the ball. They put the rat in the ball.
I always wanted to go to ERCOT Center when I was a kid, dude.
That's Epcot. ERCOT's different. You get a P, not an R.
So it sounds like you like that job quite a bit. Why'd you end up leaving?
Because I graduated college.
Well, you said
didn't
I
get
thought
a
you said
degree
till
in
your
gas
junior
station
year.
management?
No. I graduated. I mean, I stayed there for a little bit longer, and I graduated college, and I was like, I hadn't gotten into comedy yet.
Right.
So literally, I was like a grease monkey, like a junior grease monkey.
I don't think you're allowed to say that on this podcast, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know what I can say. It's Texas.
I'm just kidding.
I probably offended.
That term sounds way more racist than it is.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah. Like I was doing oil changes, rotating tires and stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
I was just like, at some point, I was just like, I got a college degree. Like, what am I doing here?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, were you sad that you left? Or just you were ready?
I was ready. No, I was. They were ready. I was ready. Then I got into real estate for a couple of years. I was renting apartments in Boston.
You were renting apartments out in Boston.
Yeah.
How'd you get into real estate?
My buddy was just like, "Hey, you got to get into real estate." So I was like, "Okay." I was a young, 21.
I'm done
22.
changing oil. Look, I don't want to be a grease monkey anymore.
Yeah,
so
man. So-
maybe I'll peddle apartments. I'm down.
So there was a guy he was on heroin. I didn't know. And he was my coworker.
I thought he was just tired.
This guy was fucking nuts. Like he was just crazy. So the phone was ringing, and we just let it ring. And then finally, I picked it up and I answered it. Because that's what you do. And he got mad because he wanted to answer it. So it was me. There was 3 people in the office. He told the other kid to get out of the office, and he starts hitting me. Like literally hitting me,
Like open fist, closed fist, slapping.
It's like
all of it?
yeah. And he was like an older guy. I'm like 21, 22, and I'm like Leo, stop. I'm like, so I got out of that.
Wait, what did he say? Did he explain why he was hitting you?
Yeah, because I answered the phone.
That was it?
That was it.
Holy shit.
Was it like the phone on his desk?
It was just like one of those phones that just rings everywhere, and anybody can answer it. So it rang like 4 or 5 times.
God, that's wild.
Yeah.
Those kids must fucking hate him.
I don't think he has kids.
Oh,
I don't think
you were the son he always wanted to be.
I was the son. I disappointed him. I disappointed him. He was
I always wanted a son to let me down, and now I
God.
finally have one. Gee, so how long did you last in the office getting beat up by Leo, the old cranky bitch?
He went the full 5 rounds.
three rounds, and I got out of there. Like there was no fucking laws back then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was like literally like the Wild Wild West. It wasn't like now where you have HR departments like, oh, he mean mugged me and he made me feel uncomfortable. It's like, no, he hit me.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Not good.
I can't imagine. I don't imagine. Did you feel scared? Were you worried he was going to hurt you, or did you just think?
I quit that day. I was like, I can't do this. And then I hung out in real estate for another year, another half year. I went to the suburbs and I killed it because I was so aggressive from working in Boston that when I got out to the suburbs, like I was renting apartments in shorts and T-shirts, and everybody else was in their 30s and 40s with mortgages and shit, and they were like, you could just feel the daggers.
Really?
Oh my God. I was like, this is the easiest job in the world. And they were like, I can't rent an apartment to save my life.
It was just a bunch of complacent people in the suburbs just coming in, punching the clock, getting to the end of their day, not giving a shit, trying to get home to their frozen meals. Yeah, absolutely.
They just sucked at sales.
Yeah.
You know, like they were just horrible people at sales.
And then you bring a fast talker from Boston.
Well,
the
yeah,
city.
because you gotta close fast in Boston.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, all right, let's do this. You know, and they're like, you know, and I was like renting. I was like the number one rental guy. And then,
what do you think made it so easy for you to sell? Like, what skills did you bring?
Because I was dumb. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
he's like, I really believed in these products. I was
no. I was just so young.
What do you mean you were dumb?
Like
naive?
Naive, yeah.
Okay.
You know how you know like when you start off in comedy, right? Like you get up and you're like, oh my God, this is so easy, right? And then year 3 rolls by and you're like, wait a minute, why am I not getting any better? Like why why are the audiences not laughing? Like why is this guy getting? That's what I was. I was like the young guy just coming in hot. You know, it was so easy. And then I worked for an ambulance company for about a year, and it was awful.
What did you do for the ambulance company?
I was doing like the work where, you know, like back end work where you're just billing and coding and stuff like that.
That sounds boring as hell.
It was the worst job.
How did you get through a day? Like, what was the day?
We used to take breaks and throw rocks at each other. We used to fucking throw rocks at each other.
How do you come up with that idea?
We
that has to be progressive. You don't just walk outside and be like, hey, man, wait till break today. I got a fucking idea. I got a really good idea for break
I don't
today,
even know how
right?
it started.
It's got to start with like receipt paper or a piece of gum or something.
I don't know how it started, but there was like an area with rocks, and we used to just like throw rocks at each other. You know, it was like prison. It was a prison.
I like that no matter.
Are you like throwing little rocks, or are you just fucking whipping stones at folks?
It's just like throwing little rocks, you know. But you know, once you start throwing rocks, you don't forget that. You just don't forget that. And everybody was like,
what did you hate about that job so much? The monotony.
Just everything. Like I'm a people person, and just to be stuck in a desk and coding, you know, I was like, oh, this sucks.
Is there anything else memorable about the job other than throwing rocks at each other?
Yeah. So Christmas time, I've got a crazy personality, just kind of like you guys, right?
How dare
What do
you,
you
first of all.
Right,
I take offense to that.
Yeah, blonde hair, fucking tatted out, fucking guns ablazing. You're like, how dare you, sir? I'm an accounting major now. I'm going corporate. Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah.
You mean
What's
I'm
wrong
crazy? I have a pocket in my shirt, dude.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Dude, I've traveled with you. I know how I'm like the first time we traveled together, I'm like, this motherfucker is crazy. And then I'm like, this guy's my best friend.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about most crazy people. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm like, I love this guy.
You're a little bit insane.
So it was the Christmas party. And it was a grab bag, and so I was like me, like the same version of me but younger. So my buddy gets me, and he puts all this stuff in a box, and he gives it to me. So it had like a belt, like a pleather belt. It had a comb. It had all this like stuff that I never did. Like I never combed my hair. I never wore a belt, and everybody's just dying laughing. It was one of my buddies, Timmy Dempsey, I've known since like 4th grade. And he just gets all this shit and he puts it into a box. And I'm opening it. And it was like, oh, a comb. Oh.
It's just random stuff he had around.
Random stuff. Like breath mints. I don't even know what. Maybe there's some rocks to throw at somebody. I don't even know
That's
what.
funny.
It was hysterical.
Oh, that's cool that you got to work with your friend, though. That must have made the time pass a little bit easier.
Yeah. Like, I think he was the one who started the rock throwing.
Yeah. Up to this point, up to this job so far, what's the worst coworker you've had?
Pam. Pam. She was like in her 20/30s, kind of a wild chick for the time, wanted to get married so badly. And she had ferrets. Yeah. She was just out there.
The way you said that sounded like an STD. She had ferrets. I took her home one day, but it turned out she had ferrets.
She used to talk about her ferret Rascal all the time, like it was her child.
It's a great ferret name.
What about a ferret's wheel? But it's just a bunch of them in a circle biting each other's tails and rolling over and over and over.
Okay, we need to edit this out of the podcast so no one steals that.
Yeah,
idea.
absolutely. Ferret's wheel.
There's so much money in Ferret's wheel.
Dude. That's going to be a
Dude, I love this. This is like Beavis and Butthead. This is my business idea. You're like, what? That's a great idea. That's a fantastic idea.
Don't you steal our
No, I'm not. No ideas, and I'm not stealing anything. Look at those guns. I'm not fucking stealing a thing. Man.
You think that's crazy? Look at this one.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. Welcome to Texas, boys.
She was crazy. She had ferrets. What did you dislike about working with her?
She was harmless. Like she was actually harmless, but she was just so, I don't know. She was just kind of annoying, Like
she was a nice and loving woman who cared about her pets and took care of the people around her. And I couldn't fucking stand her.
She was a little eccentric.
Her biological clock was ticking, right? Like so, she was like on the husband hunt, and this was like pre.
You didn't meet the criteria?
Oh fuck no.
No. What was she looking for?
A husband.
Jewish, and
Jewish. I like the first two requirements.
Yeah.
Jewish, and of the faith of the Hebrew faith. Yeah.
Literally, I think she was just looking for anything.
Yeah.
But she was like we'd be at clubs and you'd see her like just like looking at meat, like she was.
I'm picturing her with a magnifying glass on somebody's zipper, just like inspecting.
You know when
a
chick just stares you down and you can feel it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
definitely.
You know what it's like. They're just looking at you and they're like they're the predator.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
She was the predator.
Oh, I love that. I know that you're saying that's like the worst person, but I really love being looked at like a piece of meat.
Yeah. I have a feeling. I have feelings now.
Yeah.
I have feelings.
No, I like when you look at my feelings like a piece of meat too. I want you to desire my feelings.
I want you to be feelings my meat.
Oh God!
I want you to put A1 on my soul and gobble up this heartfelt brisket, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about Pam a little bit.
Jesse.
Yeah.
What position is he interviewing for today?
Doggy.
So I didn't want to put this on the job. I didn't want to put this on the job posting because I didn't think you would come in. But we're hiring.
I will do anything.
We're interviewing you for a very specific job.
All right,
here.
What's the job?
So we have a great work culture. We have a great crew. Right? There's just one problem. Nobody who works here wants to scrub the urinals. That's it.
Dude, my name's right above the urinal.
It takes 17 minutes to scrub them. You got to come in here and scrub them every day.
Every day?
That's it.
Every day?
We pay $8 an hour, but you're only here for about 15 minutes, so you're going to make around $2 a day scrubbing the toilets and scrubbing the urinals.
Dude, I am on Runnell Street. What time do you want me here?
What makes you qualified to scrub our toilets? First of all, you think you're going to get the job that easy? We got to line out the door of people wanting to scrub toilets.
I worked at Lunny Sunoco for like 6 years. That's all I did was scrub urinals and tell people what to do. And pump gas. I worked at NTB. We had to clean the bathrooms every night.
You worked at MTV?
NTB, National Tire and Battery.
It stands for Music Television.
Yeah.
Telebusiness.
Telebusiness. That's amazing.
Dude, this is the easiest podcast I've ever done.
After a podcast, this is a job interview.
Oh,
How
sorry.
dare
Oh,
you
my
not
God.
take this seriously?
Oh, I'm
this
serious.
is not a good check mark for you. What's a time you really fucked up at work?
What's the time I haven't?
What's a time you really fucked up at work? Like you knew, like shit.
Oh God,
Shit.
I didn't fuck up at work. My buddy fucked up at work. Can I tell this story?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Let's call your buddy right now.
Oh, he's dead.
Wow, he really fucked up at work. Boy. All right.
When we were working at the Sunoco station, my buddy Matt, right? He was a stoner. He was just a big fat kid, looked like Chris Farley, right? So this guy comes up in a Porsche, and he's probably baked out of his mind, and he's pumping his gas, and the convertible front, was right up in front, and he takes the hose out, and it's still pumping, and he goes like this. And he sprays the guy with gasoline.
What did the guy do?
Matt just gave him the gas for free. I mean, like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Give him a little extra for free too.
Oh, Jesus.
Here, sir, let me top you off.
yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. Gassing a customer is a pretty big one.
Yeah.
So that's the worst thing you've seen. You haven't done anything worse than that.
I've gotten fired for stupidity here and there.
Like what?
Oh God.
Give me an example.
All right. I'll give you an example. So, one of the jobs I just had recently, I was leading the team in sales. I had 30% of the sales worldwide, and they hated me. Like, hated me.
Mm-hmm. So
they put me on a performance improvement plan, and I didn't do shit. I was just like, all right, So I get into the interview, the exit interview, right? And they're all like corporate, big, serious, and blah, blah, blah. I'm eating a green apple.
I like green.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just
right.
like eating a green apple, and they're like, oh my God, like he's eating a green apple. Of course, I'm a dead man walking. I can do whatever the fuck I
It's a
want.
power move. He shows up in his pajamas. eating
Yeah,
a
I'm
green apple.
just-
What was the exit interview like?
Oh God, they were like, well, we tried to work with you, and blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and I was like, all right.
Yep.
Yep, I just agree with them. I'm like, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, do you have any malice towards the company? I'm like, nope.
They just want to make sure you're not going to sue them or anything.
I could have.
Yeah. Oh, really? Did you get
probably.
a severance or unemployment or anything?
That one I didn't get that big of a severance.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just got laid off from Quest, and they got a decent severance package.
Okay. So how do you go from working into ambulances? What's your next step after you worked in that ambulance job?
National Tire and Battery.
National Tire and Battery.
Yeah.
What did you do for them?
Sales.
I'm seeing a pattern.
You see a pattern?
Real quick, what's your degree in?
Creative writing.
That's not a real fucking thing, is it? That's a class.
No, it's a real thing. I took like 3 humor classes. I took a script writing classes. I had an internship at Warner Brothers.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
had no idea. So you've just always been good with words.
Yeah, I just creative person, man. That's
Absolutely.
why I love stand up, right? Like I don't, like
So creative writing's the degree, but right now NTB sales is the job.
Right.
What are you selling?
tires.
Door to
alignment.
door?
No. They're coming in. It's a store. It's a store. It's a store.
It's a store.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we had this job was great because we had people in the pre-release program.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have convicts.
Pre-release. Okay, that's what I thought you
Convicts,
meant.
like literally convicts.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm a 23-year-old kid,
Mm-hmm.
and literally there's a guy that probably killed somebody, and he's like my best friend at NTB. He's like, "Yo, can you get me some batteries?" I'm like, "Yeah." Can you get me ink? We're doing
Just imagine that in the 90s. He just walks out, the convict. He says, guess what me and Firestone have in common? We both killed 16 people last year.
Those guys used to love me because I used to give them rides. Like it would be raining, and they had to walk from the prison to.
What a horrible plan. They let them walk out of the
It was
prison to
pre.
work.
It was pre-release.
Oh,
You
so
want
they
them to
already
skip?
knew they were.
They knew. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'd be worried
They've already-
about is them skipping.
they've
That's
already-
why you don't let them out.
They've already done the hard time.
Yeah.
So they're working. Like I mean, it was they were putting the tires on.
I don't know. If you ask me, selling tires for NTB sounds like the hard time. I've been to jail and I've been in tire shops before. All right.
Oh God, it was a great job.
You like that job?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What'd
man.
you love about it?
I had good managers. You know, at the time I was like making a killing. I'm like, I'm making $40,000 a year. I've never, and I was doing comedy.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? So
this is where comedy starts becoming a bigger part of your life.
Absolutely. I started getting. I had an audition for the Flintstones too. I didn't get it.
Who were you auditioning for?
Who do you think?
Fred Flintstone.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
My gut said Bam Bam, but I had to go with
That's
Fred.
Bam Bam, right? You know, so I was.
You would make. I mean this is with the utmost respect and as a compliment. You would make a fantastic Fred Flintstone.
I know.
Absolutely.
I wish you would.
Can you give us one?
Yabba dabba do.
Throw a little more heart in there, man.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get the fuck. That's why I didn't get
Yabba dabba do.
Yabba dabba do. Let's
There you
go. Let's go.
Throw us a yabba dabba do.
Yabba dabba do.
Brandon, let me get a yabba dabba do.
Let's go.
No.
Yes,
No.
yes, you have to. You have to. Now you have to.
Dabba Yabba dabba do.
So at that point, I moved to Brooklyn because I'm going to be a fucking star. I'm going to be a fucking star. Like
Wait until they hear that I'm in the Flintstones.
yeah,
too.
like I'm in. I'm going to move to Brooklyn. I'm going to do comedy in New York.
I'm going to sell tires by day.
I'm going to sell.
There's so many cars in New York. That's such a good plan.
So I went to Sears. The NTB was owned by Sears. I went to Sears on Flatbush Ave.
I thought he was going to say flat tires. Say, let me show you something.
I was one of two white guys in the whole store.
Oh, you said Flatbush?
Flatbush.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was me and Ron was a Vietnam vet. And I would sit there at the counter, and I had a Jamaican boss. His name was George. And at first, they thought I was undercover. They thought I was like, 'cause I'm like, why would a white guy from Boston, Natick, come here? Like he's undercover. I'm like, no, I'm doing.
Come sell tires. And
Yeah.
Flatbush.
And so they ostracized me until I went and played basketball with them, and then they were like, "Welcome to our world with open arms," right? Like, and I used to.
You're just describing a Lifetime movie right now.
It's the truth.
I dunked. It was 6.5 seconds of airtime in the air over the heads of black men to earn their respect.
No, I used to shoot. I was a good shooter back then, so I used to shoot and I used to pass. I was like I'm a really good passer. So they were like, the fact that I showed up, they were like, oh my God, like you're here. I'm like, yeah, I love playing basketball.
Absolutely.
And then they were like, after that, it was just like respect.
So did you start making friends with them?
Oh yeah, like one of my best friends, I call him Gangster Fred. He's a black version of you, 6'5", jacked.
I like him already.
Like super jacked.
He sounds cool as hell.
Right. His brother was a scout for the Patriots.
Wow.
Franzi Jourdain.
Right.
And so he used to come up from Brooklyn to Boston. We've been friends for 25 years, 30 years. Like we still talk to each other all the time. He just wished me a happy Father's Day.
So cool.
He's like I would go into the gym and they'd have weightlifting competitions, right? Benching competitions. These guys were putting up like 415.
Good Lord.
They were strong,
they were bigger than me for sure. 'Cause
Yeah.
I could never put up that kind of weight.
Yeah, and it was just like I was just like, wow. I was like, I'm like, I hadn't started lifting then, so I was just like, oh my God, like,
So how long do you work at Sears with the Jack Tire guys in Flatbush?
Probably about a year and a half.
Where do you go from there?
I started getting corporate jobs. I went to like a T-Mobile type place.
All right. So what age are you when you start transitioning out
28.
the P2P sales,
28.
the business
Yeah,
sales?
28.
28.
Yeah, and I got my first software job at Soft Choice, right? Which was and it was a great.
How did you get that opportunity?
I think I was like one of the only people that interviewed.
You saw an ad for a job?
Yeah, like back then
it was on a bulletin board or the back of the newspaper.
Monster.com was a thing, you
Okay.
know, like we didn't so I went in there and I interviewed and I got it because I had business-to-business experience. I had enough business-to-business experience, and we were right in the middle of New York City, right in Union Square, and it was just like, it was an awesome job. Like we would sell software, we'd meet, like I was going into the NFL and meeting with the NFL.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
To sell software? What kind of software were you selling to the NFL?
Football.
Deflate.
Yeah. Microsoft Ball. Yeah.
Microsoft, Semantic, I mean, just anything, right? Like I was dealing with banks. I was dealing with hospitals, like major Fortune 500 companies. Like here I am from Natick.
Right.
Like a year removed, I was selling tires on Flatbush.
Right.
And now I'm like meeting with the NFL,
Big corporate accounts, fancy dinners.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole moves.
I had sushi for the first time.
I'm guessing your income's going up quite a bit at this point.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like, this is fantastic. And it was just so much fun.
So much fun. How's comedy going for you at this time?
At this point, it's dying.
It's dying out. You're putting more time into your main job.
Yeah, because like New York, the great thing about Houston for me is I can get up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to get the 1 o'clock in the morning spots anymore, right? Like, this club has been fantastic for me. Like, kudos to you guys.
The secret group? Yeah. There's a lot of stage time here for sure. Absolutely.
And I've taken advantage of it.
Absolutely.
I've taken advantage of it, but not just here. I mean, just other clubs, like other open mic nights.
Oh, yeah. Natsuo has great open mics down there. Jeff Joe's work he does over at Axelrad is awesome, man. That's one of the funnest 5 mics if you've ever been over there.
Right.
I'm leaving too many people out, but you're not kidding. And it's not just the amount of mics around Houston, but the amount of people that really care about comedy in the audience and on the stage. And
I've never been like Boston was a great place.
Right.
Like for comedy. It was, like Dane Cook. It was Patrice.
Definitely.
It was Bill Burr. It was Gary Gelman. It was Robert Kelly. And that was a magical time. That was a magical fucking time.
I can't imagine. Every person you just named is a A-list comedian.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd be literally at open mic nights with them.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like I would watch. I'd have to follow Dane every once in a while.
Uh-huh.
He would annihilate a room. Unlike anybody I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
This was pre-everything.
Right.
So he was just like people. He was voted one of the best comics in Boston. It was him, Patrice, Paul D'Angelo, and Maria Falzoni.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He would just go in there, and he'd be doing like the Velociraptor from whatever movie.
Right.
And he'd be doing like this.
Right. Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, Pretty in Pink. But he would just destroy. Like his energy, like it was Dane and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God.
So you've seen all these people in Boston. You've come up in a really cool time in comedy, but now you're in New York City with a corporate sales job, and comedy's kind of fizzling out a little bit.
Right. Like I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, doing sets. I was still getting up like 2 or 3 times a week, but I wasn't as passionate about it.
So take us through your corporate career after that. What's your next corporate job?
So I wound up moving back to Boston, and I kind of bounced around from different corporate jobs for about 3 years, just different, startup, this is going to be the next Google, and it just doesn't happen. This is going to be the next this, and it just doesn't happen. And then I was working at Quest Software, and I was dating my ex-wife, and I got laid off. And one of my buddies from Soft Choice, Chris Skotak, who I worked with at another software company, was like, hey, we're hiring in Houston. Come to Houston. And I was like, fuck no. Like, I've never been here.
What caused that initial response, big dog?
Because it's Houston.
What year did that come up?
I think I was 36 at the time, so 2006 maybe.
36.
I'd never been to Texas.
Uh-huh.
I'm an East Coast guy.
Right.
I'm like, what am I going to do down there?
Right, because if you've never been to Texas and you've only heard about it as an East Coaster or a West Coaster, it's its whole world.
Oh, my God.
We're not great on paper.
You're not great, period. You're not great, period. Like,
you're not great with anything written on paper.
No,
either,
you just
this
is like the.
It's a Wild West down here, really.
It's
a very free.
Yeah.
It's kind of a very free place
they
that
broke
still
the ground.
values individualism, which you don't see that much anymore.
Don't move to Houston if you're listening to this podcast.
Do not move to Houston.
Absolutely
You will not
fuck
like
no.
it. Go everywhere else except Houston. It's not economically sound.
Yeah.
It doesn't have great people that we love to hang around. Our comedy scene is garbage.
Garbage. There's
no concerts, no fun, nothing.
It's a
no championship teams.
Nothing.
Get the fuck out of
So
here.
I get down here and they roll out the red carpet.
Go to
for me.
Buffalo, New York. You'll love it. The
Buffalo's
Bills are on
great.
fire.
Buffalo's great. The Bills
are on fire. Bills are on fire. Bills Mafia, baby.
I think it's our year.
It's our year. It's our year.
We're due it.
Yeah. Okay. So I come down and they roll out the red carpet for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm staying right across the street from Minute Maid at the Ballpark Inn. I interview, I get the job, and I turn it down. I'm like, I don't want to move to Houston. I'm like, it was all like hot and muggy.
Right.
And then I get home and I'm talking to my roommate, and I'm complaining like I don't have a job. And he goes, "Why don't you call up that company in Houston?" So
He's already found a new roommate at this point in time who has a good job. He's like, you know what?
So-
He's been talking to his girlfriend about moving in.
Yeah, so they got me down here, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was in paradise. Like, I was dating my wife.
Like the club next door?
No, it was even better. Like, I was living at the Loft at the ballpark, which
Oh, I love those. You're talking about right over by the stadium?
right across the street from the stadium.
Right.
Right.
I believe the guy who owns the team owns that building, actually.
They're raising it.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that they're raising.
Somebody's got to raise it because you can't expect the schools to do everything these days.
Parents
got to do something, man.
Yet another reason not to come to Houston, like our school system sucks.
That's right.
So
Okay, that's
are
actually
they
true.
like-
That's
are they-
not. We're not sarcastically saying HISD sucks. They low key do.
Yeah. So I'm working in Montrose at a software company at an old Southern mansion, right? And I'm coming in from Boston, and I'm living right downtown.
Oh, Boston knows something about old Southern mansions for sure.
No, we don't know
They're
that.
very like-minded.
No, we don't. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, you know, and they're like, everybody's just taking me in, you know. They're like, welcome to Houston. Like, I had a coworker. I was picking up my ex-wife at the airport, and she printed out directions for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, oh
How
my.
did she know where your ex-wife was?
How did she know how to work a printer?
Why did they have MapQuest directions for the airport to where your wife was at?
Gosh,
Oh, that's so sweet. So
Yeah.
you felt like the positive energy as soon as you came
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Houston.
yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, this place. And I killed it over there. Like, I was making money, you know, hand over fist. I killed it over there. Then I got recruited to go to Symantec, which I was like, that was my dream job. Like, I loved Symantec when I was working at SoftChoice. Went to Symantec, had 2 phenomenal years, bought a house in the Heights, the whole bit, right? And at that point, I wasn't even touching comedy. Like, I just wasn't touching comedy, right?
Right.
And then I got laid off. I went back to Boston, and I got I worked for another company for about a year, 9 months, and then their culture started to go downhill, and I got to Oracle.
No shit.
Yeah, and
That's Jeff Wozniak.
no, that's
Who was I'm.
That's Adobe.
no
That's the
Oracle.
stuff
Java,
they build
Java.
houses out of.
Yeah, Oracle is Larry Ellison.
Okay, Larry
Yeah,
Ellison.
yeah.
All right, excellent.
So I was working in this. You can't get any more corporate than Oracle.
Right.
Like, they had 5 buildings just in the area that I was in Boston. Like, they would buy buildings. They wouldn't buy companies. They would just buy buildings. It was like, all right, we want this building. We put our logo up there. And so I lasted there for 3 years. I got divorced. I was a miserable prick at Oracle. Like, I was just a miserable, miserable prick. And then somehow I wound up going to Kaspersky. And that's where shit got interesting.
Kaspersky was known for their antivirus.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years I was there, I had Texas, and I was killing it, like literally killing it. Then they got caught in like a spy thing, like the FBI. So there was the story goes, somebody in the NSA was writing malicious code, brought the code back to his computer at home. The computer had Kaspersky on it, sent it over to Russia. The Israelis hacked into Kaspersky's Russian computers, found the code, let the U.S. government know, so we were being investigated
By the FBI.
by the FBI. So my coworkers were being interviewed by the FBI.
Was anyone really surprised that Kaspersky turned out to be Russian?
Well, I mean, you can't get any more Russian, but there were always
Yeah.
rumors that he was like.
Who would have thought the sketchy free source open software program would have been the one you couldn't trust?
Right.
Windows Defender is literally fine.
I need you to know that I'm actually deleting Kaspersky off my computer right now. I'm not doing it all. I use Kaspersky on all of my.
What?
I'm sorry, it's free.
Oh, you-
my home
Windows
PC,
Defender comes with your computer.
My home PC is so jacked up with malware. This is not a bit. If I plug in my Wi-Fi signal, it will crash my router.
Yeah.
And AT&T has to come back out and fix my fucking shit.
Jesus.
This happened for months until I realized it was my computer. And not just ours, it'll like crash other people's in the area too.
Oh, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You're the guy. You're the guy.
I had no idea that could happen. I didn't know your shit can get so messed up that it
Oh,
can like
God.
crash a whole system, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out Kaspersky, dog.
Dude, so literally, like my coworkers were being interviewed by the FBI.
Uh-huh.
Like literally, they'd be like, they'd be like,
That's scary.
yeah. And I was
Did you
like,
get interviewed by the FBI?
Thank God, no.
No.
Because I mean, at that point, I was doing comedy back then. You know, they know who they can talk to, like who the you know.
You weren't one of the guys.
No, I mean, I'd be like, the FBI, blah 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 blah.
What did the FBI learn from their interviews?
I have no idea. It's like a sealed file. Like I'll never know. And then the funny part was, I went to Utah. And the FBI headquarters in Utah was right across from my hotel. So I started posting pictures like the hunter has become the hunted.
It's always a good idea to antagonize the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah, well, you know, they have...
I think you and Drew may be long lost cousins.
That's why we get along.
We're the same.
Yeah, that's why like we share a brain on the road. We're like, all right, let's go to Bryant.
Drew's not a full anarchist. He just likes to dunk a little bit on the system every now
I'm
and
not
again.
anarchist. I'm actually two archists.
Two archists.
So
and I was going through a custody battle at the time, so I was talking to shrinks, and so I couldn't really tell them like what was going on. Like I'm being investigated by the FBI because that'll set off all sorts of red flags for the shrinks.
Oh man,
You're supposed to call them little people.
witch doctors.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, very interesting. Drew, do you have any other questions for our candidate here?
When was so? What are you doing now?
So I'm working for a company called Constant Contact, and we do email marketing for small businesses.
How was the and like what do you do for them? Is it just
I tell jokes. I'm at the point of my career that's all I do.
Really?
Like literally.
All right, we're gonna roll through a couple of quick questions here for the end of the interview, just to get to know your personality. These are personality questions.
The
a
answer is
little bit.
yes. First answer is yes.
What's one of your best traits?
There's so many. I'll say my personality.
Personality.
You know, like, and you can see it up on stage. Like people generally like me. I get away with a lot. Like you've seen me. I get away with a lot.
Yeah.
I get away with a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same way at work. Like some of the.
So if we hire you, you're gonna get away with a lot.
No, I'm not gonna get away with shit. I'm gonna be in that toilet scrubbing.
What's a habit of yours that you would change if you could?
You know, I'm working hard on positivity. You know what I'm saying? Like
You seem to be nailing it from every interaction I've ever had with you, honestly.
Yeah, thank you.
You are a
That
supremely positive
that
person.
means a lot,
And even
because-
in the context of this interview, I think you've been very positive in how you look at things.
Well, it wasn't when I was in Boston. I mean, this is why I came here. When I was in Boston, I was going through, like, my ex put me through the ringer.
Well, exes aside, can we also talk about the cultural differences in the Northeast where attitude is so fucking prevalent?
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of relaxed, welcoming, positive attitude that you do see down here in Texas and Houston, that's not what you see back home in Buffalo,
No,
New York City,
no, it's
Boston.
this.
It's fuck you.
Yeah.
It's fuck you.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna get mine. I think we were even talking about it once where, like, if people come up to you and start talking to you up there, you're like, what do they want?
What do you want?
What do you want? What are you trying to get
Yeah.
from me? What's the angle? What's the angle? And I know when I moved here from Houston to Houston, that took me so long to get used to people just really genuinely being interested in you as a person.
You go to
wanting to hang
you go to
out.
Walgreens and somebody's like, "How y'all doing?" And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
amazing when they have all the money, all the oil money down here to have a great economy, and people aren't fighting to feed themselves. How easily everybody can get along.
It's 30% cheaper down here.
Yeah.
Just right off the bat,
Yeah.
right? So you can live easier. You know, you don't have to make, like, the median home price in Boston right now is $600,000.
Jeez.
Like that's not in Boston itself. That's around the suburbs. That's
Right.
in Massachusetts.
Well, that's a good reason to move down here and relocate for the job, the cost of living.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a couple more quick
Sure,
questions.
sure.
Favorite meal? What's your favorite meal?
Chicken parm.
What does your ideal weekend look like?
This.
Who's your celebrity crush?
You know what?
Is it Jesse James from the I Just Work Here podcast?
I fucking hate that guy. You know
They
what?
call me Crush because I crush.
Dude, you look like a wrestler. You really look. You're like you're
Thank you.
like a WWE wrestler.
Thank you.
Like I met Nitro on American Gladiator. or
Look, if
something.
I couldn't do what I wanted with my life, I might as well look like I did what I wanted with
Yeah.
my
Like
life. All
if you
right.
weren't the nicest guy, I would fear you. I would fucking fear you. I would walk away. Like if you were walking down the street, I would cross the sidewalk again, and then keep walking.
All right. So, what was your dream job when you were a kid?
I don't think I had one.
No job?
Yeah, I was just one of those kids. It was like I was very creative, and like nobody like talked to me about jobs.
Yeah.
You were just like, all right, you're creative.
Indoors, you prefer indoors or outdoors?
Yes. For what? For what?
I don't know.
I just like standing in the door.
Yeah, doors. I love doorways now.
Yeah.
What's your hidden talent? You can touch your nose with your tongue.
That's freaky. What?
Yeah, that's it.
That's my nose with your tongue, pussy.
I have a very short tongue.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite word that you just think is delightful to say or hear? I love onomatopoeia. It's just a fantastic word.
yeah.
Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia.
I love the word I made up close to a word that really exists. That's
You're
my
just showing
favorite.
off that you know how to spell it.
Onomatopoeia.
I like Palooza. Yeah.
Palooza's fantastic.
My buddies.
Hubaloo?
The fucking like a hullabaloo, like a
Hullabaloo?
Yeah,
like a hoedown.
Hullabaloo's great, but
Hullabalooza?
you can put Palooza on anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
Pussy Palooza?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. That's it.
Pussy Palooza.
Yeah, I like Palooza. It's just such a great.
Oh, that's a great name. Comedy Palooza.
Yeah, like Podcast Palooza.
Podcast Palooza makes everything a little more fun. Rate Palooza.
Jabba Palooza.
Jabba Palooza.
Yeah.
Like Jabba the Hutt or like Greer.
Just like, come down to Jabba Palooza on Tuesday.
Jabba Palooza. We've got a hubaloo all weekend.
We're doing buy one get one jobs.
Yeah.
Where did the bullet come from?
So I used to go first on every single show. So that was taking the bullet spot. And I think my buddy Joey Carroll, who was one of the best guys ever in comedy, it was like, you're Harry the Bullet because you go up first every single time, and then it's just kind of stuck,
Oh, shit.
And then when I was doing my social media, I was just like, on Instagram, I might as well just go Harry the Bullet, and it's just kind of taken off.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want us to know about you, your work history, or why you think you're qualified to scrub our toilets?
I'm
at the Secret Group?
overqualified, but I just love it here.
Just love it
I just
here.
love it here. Like it's such a great. It's such a dark vibe here, but it's you know what I'm saying? Like you walk in, it's like fucking midnight. Like it's 2:00 in the afternoon. And you walk in there, and you can't even see your face, your hand, and everybody's like,
We have a heck of an edge here, man. It's
oh my
kind
God,
of a punk rock.
Yeah,
venue.
I'm just like that's what I love
Emo
about
night.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I get away with a lot down here on stage, not cleaning
Right.
toilets, not
Right.
on, but that's what I love about it. It's that kind of punk rock attitude.
Absolutely, and you can feel that on stage. You can feel it with the type of comedy that's done here, man.
Yeah.
You can feel with our performers that come through here. It's a very fucking DIY feel, man. It's
Dude,
a
the way
very
you
real
guys
and raw version of
destroy
comedy.
a stage.
Well, I mean, if you ever watch me and Drew, Jimbo and Jumbo's Big Fun Show. I mean, it's
We're
all
headlining
fun
at the Punchline Houston.
It's fun. It is the punk rock of comedy.
That's
bro.
what it
We're
is.
Just out there, all style and all balls and all grit, just doing what
That's
we love to
exactly
do, man.
what it is.
There's no technical skill
I fucked up.
at all.
Right.
There's no intelligence.
But it works.
Oh, yeah.
It absolutely works.
It's from the heart, and what a great way for you to speak of the embodiment of Secret Group. Truly,
Yeah,
that punk rock spirit.
I can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I can't tell you how much I've grown in Houston, not just professionally, but also as a person, because of places like this, right? Because that you can take a chance, and you can literally you either kill or you don't, and if you don't, you try something new.
Yep.
And everybody's just like, all right, good job,
Yeah.
and it's fun.
You know, if it works here, that it works anywhere.
The midnight show?
Yeah.
Like if you can do well at the midnight show, you're a comic.
You're a comic. All right. Well, I think
man.
we're going to close with that. We've actually got to get back to work. I'm literally at work right now. I have to go cut a bartender up front whose
God.
shift ended 14 minutes ago. Me, Brandon, Drew, and Harry are all down here on a Sunday because our schedules are super busy.
This
so
is the
making
worst
this work.
experience of my life.
He says, I love this club, but I hate you
No, I
guys."
fucking love this place.
Dude, this was a blast.
This
Thank
was a
you
blast.
so
No,
much for
thank you
coming
guys.
on.
I think you're right.
Dude, this is so exciting to get to know you better. I know we have a tentative lunch date, but I'm glad.
Me too.
I'm glad we got to
We've
do
had a
this
tentative lunch date for
first.
3 years.
For 3 years. But, man, thank you so much
No, I
for doing the
appreciate it.
podcast.
Thank you.
Harry Corcell.
Jorge.
Harry Corcell.
Oh, that's my cleaning name. Jorge Corcell.
Harry Corcell,
Thank you, guys.
software salesman. Drew Hollway, my co-host.
I'm on
Brandon.
LinkedIn.
Check him
Find
out
me on LinkedIn.
Do you have an Insta or anything else you
Yeah,
want to plug, bro?
Harry the Bullet on LinkedIn.
Harry the Bullet on Instagram.
On Instagram, sorry.
Harry also hosts Sunday night Unbelievable Stories here with Kua Genti every other Sunday here at the Secret Group at
Dexter's.
8 o'clock. And Dexter's Lavatory every other Monday.
Every other Monday, yeah.
At the Secret Group. So come check out his shows, check out his Instagram, check out what he's doing. And guys, I've been Jesse, and this has been I Just Work Here.
Thank you, guys.
You're the expert. I just work here.
Looks pretty solid.
I just work here.
Listen, I just work here.
I didn't pick you. I just work here.